I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
Hey there guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and I just watched The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1. Welcome to my reaction video. As you may think, I'm on a total Star Wars high right now. What an amazing episode. We're going to go ahead and talk about it in just a few moments here. For one thing, I would like to mention that yes, there are of course spoilers ahead for The Mandalorian Season 3, so if you haven't watched it, click off the video now, go watch it. It's absolutely amazing, a great way to start the season. Aside from that, this video is really just a quick first thoughts kind of reaction video, exactly what you might think it is here. So of course, with that being said, I'll have a full-length reaction video coming out later in the day, a full-length breakdown rather I should say, and review video rather for The Mandalorian Season 3 Episode 1, so stay tuned for that by hitting the subscribe button and that notification bell to be notified for when that video does come out. This episode did everything that I would have wanted it to done actually. It set up the season as I had mentioned perfectly, and it kind of recapped us better with all of our characters here throughout the galaxy, and some of the main prominent characters, of course, that Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and Grogu are going to be really dealing with here throughout this season here, or for the next 2 months for us here, whilst also at the same time explaining a few plot holes here and there, and setting up the roadmap of what is to lie ahead here. We see that, of course, Din Djarin is very keen on going to Mandalore to, of course, bathe in the mines of the waters there to redeem himself to his Mandalorian clan, that they're consisting of the armor and everybody that we saw at the beginning of this episode that were being attacked by this ginormous turtle-like alligator thing, something that looks out of Jurassic Park, honestly, which was honestly really insane, a really cool fight sequence there. This episode offered a lot of great action, I believe, here throughout this episode that was really fun and great to see. Anything and everything from fighting a giant monster to a whole space battle going on between the Mandalorian and these space pirates here, which I think are very well characters that will be appearing here later in the future of the season here and playing another role, and more trouble is yet to come with those pirates there. Action with gunslinging with those pirates when they were on Navarro as well, and to see Greef Karga as well was really amazing. Now, something that we recently just talked about here on the channel into the regards of a plot hole is what happened with Cara Dune, Gina Carano's character. After being fired, it was finally taken upon from Dave Filoni himself to actually break his silence on this, and nearly after 2 years after her firing, after controversial actions and then sayings on social media, of course, and everything like that that we all know of now. And they simply fixed that in canon here by simply with one line, with Greef Karga saying that, oh yeah, she got recruited by the New Republic, and there's nothing else really with that. They simply just came and went with that and that explanation there, which was honestly really cool. Kind of funny even at that to see there. They kind of just glossed right over it. Then also, of course, to see Bo-Katan towards the end of the episode, as we saw there as well, it was kind of just like Din Djarin saying like, hey, I'm going to Mandalore, do you want to come with me, what's your whole deal? They really haven't spoken all that much ever since the end of the events of The Mandalorian Season 2, where we had Luke Skywalker come and rescue them from the Empire and from Moff Gideon, who is another character that I'm dying to see later in this season here as well. I'll talk about him in just a moment. Of course, as we saw with Bo-Katan Kryze, she seems very snotty and just kind of like just kind of just sorrowing, like just around her place there, that little cool castle that we saw there. That was really cool and had me like at the edge of my seat. I'm like, what the heck is this? Who is this? I was very confused about that, but then to see that was Bo-Katan was actually really cool. Of course, when we had seen like all that footage there in the marketing and the promoting and the trailers for The Mandalorian Season 3 of Bo-Katan in this long hall and on this throne and everything like that, everybody of course assumed and thought that would actually be on Mandalore. However, it's in the Mandalorian system, as Din was explaining that to Grogu, which was very nice. And as I had mentioned, yes, we see Bo-Katan, she's very snotty at the whole idea still, just very like grief almost that she doesn't have the Darksaber to kind of lead her people to their homeworld of Mandalore. And she furthermore even explains that all of the people that she did recruit simply left her. They went off to be mercenaries and pirates that Din had simply just fought pretty much there, and kind of left her in the dust, essentially, Bo-Katan, because she didn't have the Darksaber. the Darksaber is such a powerful weapon, such a powerful tool. Really, at that, I think is a better word to represent it and explain it as a tool there, rather, because it really condemns to all of the Mandalorians. It doesn't matter what clan or creed you come from. If that Mandalorian has the Darksaber, then everybody's going to be listening to that guy, because that is the Mandalore. And I've explained it time in and time out with Bo-Katan and everything that I think that we're going to be seeing with her and her character going forward in the Mandalorian Season 3. When we see her in Episode 1 of Season 3, she seems very snotty, as I had mentioned, and even when she's saying goodbye to Mando, she says it in that kind of tone, that voice right there, "Goodbye, Mando," in a sense, in a lurking sense, almost like that, like I'm gonna come back and kind of bite you in the butt type of thing. And even then, she also heavily believes that the Mandalore as a planet is poisoned. It is like legitimately poisoned. It's uninhabitable. You cannot go there without, you know, that protective special gear and everything like that, or else you would end up dead, actually. So she actually thinks that Mandalore, or the Mandalorian Din Djarin, isn't even really going to be coming back. He's gonna like die on Mandalore, and from there she'll probably actually end up meeting up with him at Mandalore to retrieve the Darksaber and then go on with her actual plans. Is something I think that we could have a huge potential with seeing that going forward. On the topic of Moff Gideon, kind of the same with as we saw with Cara Dune there, it was briefly explained by Grief Karga there, kind of like what's going on with this character, and as we already have been knowing for the last like 2 years at this point, is that this guy is locked up in a New Republic system cell, in jail essentially, and we will be seeing the return of Moff Gideon in the Mandalorian Season 3, and I think that he's going to be the overarching villain here of Season 3. This is something that I had mentioned earlier on, that I have kind of explained and talked about here on the channel time and over in time in different videos in the last couple of months here on the channel into the regards of the Mandalorian Season 3, is something I think that they're doing is setting up this third season to really market it and promote it into the sense that Bo-Katan is going to be the not so friendly character in this season. She's going to be the big bad essentially of the Mandalorian Season 3 when it comes to those aspects there. That's something similar to what we saw in the Mandalorian Season 1 and Season 2 as of who the big bad really is of this season. And for those first 2 seasons, it was Moff Gideon. It was very clean and very cut. It was the Empire, and when you really want to point a finger, it was Moff Gideon. And I think that they're kind of doing the same thing with those same regards, essentially, is that it's going to be Bo-Katan, and that she is really after the Darksaber, and that she will furthermore challenge Din Djarin when and if she does meet up with him on Mandalore, because she thinks that, you know, he probably died from the poisonous gas, because Mandalore is simply uninhabitable, and as I had mentioned, she would simply kind of just swoop by and pick up the Darksaber after, like, Mando would die on Mandalore or something like that. Although that's just a fan theory. I'm not saying that he would or anything like that. I mean, the show is The Mandalorian. How are you going to kill off the main character? Lastly, I would also like to mention what we saw with that Star Wars Rebels reference here in the Mandalorian Season 3 Episode 1 there. We saw the hyperspace whales there, that same ones that we see in Star Wars Rebels multiple times. These are the same creatures that travel in hyperspace, for one thing. These are the same creatures that dragged Ezra Bridger and Thrawn into the unknown regions in Star Wars Rebels by the end of that show. So they're heavily setting things up already and kind of like hinting and throwing Easter eggs in there into those regards of what we're going to see later on in not only the Mandalorian Season 3, but also in the Ahsoka show coming out as the next big live-action Star Wars Disney Plus show after the Mandalorian Season 3. And even for that, I think when we do get to see those characters in Ahsoka and the rest of the Ghost crew in the Mandalorian Season 3, I think that it's going to do a lot with setting up that show. Anyway, of course, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. As I had mentioned, I'm going to have a full-length kind of like breakdown and review video here on the channel into the regards of everything that you might have missed throughout this episode, and different Easter eggs there as well, going more in depth into those all as well, and explaining everything for you guys here on the channel shortly, probably later today here. So into those regards, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell to be notified for when that video comes out. And of course, let me know your initial reaction to The Mandalorian Season 3 Episode 1. I would love to hear what you guys all think in the comments down below. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.